From the time we were kids, we were taught to avoid failure. Bad grades? That's failure. Didn't win the game? That's failure. Didn't get the job? That's failure. So we started to fear it. We started to believe failure meant we weren't smart enough, or strong enough, or worthy enough. But no one told us this. Failure is part of the process. Let's make this personal. Think about the last time you felt like a failure. Maybe you tried something and it didn't work. Maybe you made a mistake you wish you could take back. Maybe you gave your all and still didn't win. It hurts, right? But that pain, that disappointment, it's not the end. It's the beginning. Because behind every failure is something more powerful, a lesson, a direction, a seed. Let me give you a simple picture. Imagine you're walking in the dark. You take one step. You bump into a wall. Is that failure? Number. That's feedback. It just told you the wall is there, so now you know to turn. Failure is not the wall. Failure is the flashlight. It shows you where to go next. But here's what most people do. They bump into the wall once, and they stop. They say, I guess it's not meant to be. But the ones who grow, the ones who win, they use the bump as a sign to change direction, not to stop walking. Here's something powerful. No one successful got there without failing. Let's break that myth. Success is not a straight line. It's not wake up, work hard, win. It's wake up, try, fall, learn, try again, fall harder, learn more, and then grow, over and over again. Success hides inside of failure. You can't have one without the other. But here's where it gets real. When you fail, it feels like proof that you're not good enough. But what it really is proof that you're in motion. You're doing something. You're stepping up. You're growing. Standing still never feels like failure. But it's the real danger. You don't grow by being safe. You grow by stepping outside what's easy. You grow by risking something. And when you risk something, failure comes with it. But so does growth. Let me ask you this. Would you rather feel uncomfortable and grow, or feel comfortable and stay the same? Every time you fail, you learn something, even if it's what not to do, even if it's how to try better next time, even if it's just learning how strong you really are. And here's a secret most people miss. Failure means you're close. Why? Because you're trying. You're taking action. And that's the only path that leads to real success. So if you've failed recently, if you've made mistakes, if you feel like you've lost something or wasted time, you haven't. You've been building. You've been shaping your mindset. You've been building muscles no one can see yet. But one day, they'll see. Because all the invisible work, it adds up. And the people who never failed, they probably never tried. So instead of asking, why did I fail? Start asking, what did I learn? What did I gain? And how did this grow me? Because that's the shift. That's how you stop feeling stuck and start stepping forward. So the next time you feel like giving up, I want you to remember this. You are not failing. You are growing. And growth? It doesn't always look pretty. It looks like effort. It looks like trying again. It looks like showing up, even when it's hard. And that's exactly what you're doing. So keep going. Let's talk about something most people never say out loud. Growth doesn't feel like growth. It feels like pain. It feels like frustration, pressure, confusion, and sometimes hopelessness. But that's exactly where the change is happening. You're not falling apart. You're breaking through. See, people love the idea of growth, but they don't love the process of growing, because growth means being stretched. It means letting go of the old version of you. Let's make this real. Have you ever had a moment where nothing made sense? Where you were trying so hard, but life just kept pushing back? You thought you were on the right path, but everything started going wrong? That's not the end. That's the start of a new chapter. Because struggle isn't a stop sign. It's a signal. Think of a seed underground. It's dark. It's buried. It's stuck. But that pressure, that dirt, that silence, that's where the roots form. The seed doesn't bloom until it's been through the dirt. You are the same. In the moments where you feel buried, like no one sees your effort, like nothing is working, that's where your foundation is being built. Let me say it this way. If life feels heavy right now, it's because you're being shaped into someone stronger. The struggle is not punishment. It's preparation. It's life stretching you to fit into the bigger space you're meant for. But here's the trap. Most people quit in the struggle. They say, it's too much. It's not worth it. I'm not cut out for this. And they stop right before the shift. But the people who rise, they lean into the pressure. They use the struggle as fuel. They don't run from the hard things. They grow through them. And you can too. You've already survived hard things. You've already carried pain no one else saw. And you're still here, still standing. That's not weakness. That's proof of your power. Let me tell you this. The most beautiful things in life come after the struggle. Think about the butterfly. It fights in the cocoon. It pushes and presses, struggling to break free. But if you tried to help it by cutting the cocoon, it would never fly, because the strength it needs to fly is built in the fight. You are building your wings right now. It doesn't matter if no one sees it. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter if it looks like you're not making progress. If you're still moving, you're still growing. You can be tired and still be making progress. You can feel confused and still be evolving. You can feel broken and still be healing. Struggle isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're becoming someone wiser, stronger, more focused, more grounded. So the next time life feels heavy, remember this. Growth hides in the struggle. That job loss, growth, that heartbreak, growth, that rejection, growth, that fear, that failure, that doubt, growth. And on the other side of it, a version of you that can handle more, dream bigger, love deeper, and live louder. But you only meet that version if you keep going. So if today feels like a struggle, don't run, don't hide, breathe, stand tall, and say to yourself, I'm not failing, I'm growing. And that belief, that changes everything. Why you're not failing, you're growing. Let's be honest, the biggest enemy isn't out there, it's in here, inside your own mind. It's not what others say that holds you back. It's what you say to yourself, in silence, in the middle of the night, when no one else is watching. That quiet voice that whispers, you're not good enough. You'll never make it. You're too late. You're too broken. Why even try? Sound familiar? We all do it. We all tell ourselves lies, not because we want to, but because we're afraid. Afraid to fail, afraid to hope, afraid to believe something better is possible. So we create this story in our heads, a story that says we're not capable, a story that keeps us small, safe, invisible. But here's the truth no one tells you. The story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. If you keep saying you're a failure, your mind will start proving it. If you believe you're not worthy, you'll sabotage anything good that comes. It's not magic, it's mindset. We act on what we believe, and we believe what we repeat. So the question is, what are you repeating to yourself every day? If you say, I'm not smart, I'm not attractive, I can't do this, your mind doesn't argue with you. It simply says, okay, and finds ways to make it true. But just imagine what would happen if you changed the script. What if you told yourself, I may be struggling, but I'm learning. I may feel lost, but I'm finding my way. I may have fallen, but I'm not finished. That's not pretending. That's taking your power back. Here's something you need to understand. Your thoughts are not facts. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. Just because you feel like a failure doesn't mean you are one. Most of the time, we're stuck in fear-based thinking from the past, from old experiences, old wounds, old voices that still echo in our heads. Maybe someone told you, you'll never succeed. Maybe someone laughed at your dream. Maybe they made you feel small. And now, you've become your own bully. But it's time to stop that. Because here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses what thoughts to believe. And if you want to grow, you have to stop feeding the lies. Lies like, I need to be perfect before I start. Truth, you learn by doing, not by waiting. I have to be fearless to succeed. Truth, courage is acting while still feeling fear. I'm not like them. Truth, you're not supposed to be. Your path is yours. Lies sound safe. They sound comfortable, but they're walls. And every time you believe them, you stay stuck behind those walls. But your future, it's on the other side of those lies. So here's what you do. Step 1, catch the lie. When you hear that voice saying, you can't, pause. Ask, would I say this to my best friend? Step 2, replace it with truth. Turn I can't into I'm trying. Turn I'm not enough into I'm growing. Turn it's too late into now is the perfect time. Step 3, repeat it every day. Why? Because the brain believes what it hears often. You've repeated lies long enough. Now it's time to repeat strength, power, and hope. You may not believe it at first. That's okay. Just keep speaking it until you do. Because here's the secret. The story you believe becomes your future. So stop telling yourself you're failing. Stop telling yourself it's over. Stop telling yourself you're not good enough. Because none of that is true. What's true is this. You are in progress. You are becoming. And everything you need is already inside you. All you have to do now is stop believing the lies. Let's face it. The word failure feels like a punch in the gut. It's a word we've all been taught to fear. We hear it in school. We feel it in relationships. We see it in jobs we didn't get, dreams that didn't work out, and goals we didn't reach. And every time something doesn't go as planned, what do we say? I failed. And worse, I'm a failure. But what if I told you this? Failure isn't the end. It's not a dead end. It's direction. It's feedback. You see, failure is not there to destroy you. It's there to teach you. Think about it. Every successful person you admire, they didn't get there by winning all the time. They got there by learning from what didn't work. Steve Jobs got fired from Apple. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. J.K. Rowling got rejected by 12 publishers. Did they stop? Number. They used the failure as a message, not a sentence. The problem is, we take failure personally. We attach our worth to the result. We say, I didn't succeed, so I must not be good enough. But the truth is, failure doesn't define your value. It reveals your path. Let me ask you something. When a baby tries to walk and falls 50 times, do we call them a failure? Of course not. We clap, we cheer, we say, try again. Why? Because we know falling is part of learning. But somewhere along the way, as adults, we forget that. We stop seeing failure as part of growth and start seeing it as proof we should quit. But here's the truth. The only true failure is quitting. Everything else is just data. Every time you fail, you learn something. You discover what doesn't work, and that brings you one step closer to what does. So instead of asking, why did I fail? Start asking, what did this teach me? Failure teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you strength. And most of all, it teaches you what matters. Now listen carefully. Failure hurts. There's no denying that. It stings. It makes you question yourself. It makes you want to crawl into a shell and disappear. But pain is not your enemy. Pain is a signal. It points to where you need to grow. It shows you what you care about. It reveals your blind spots. And that's powerful. Because once you stop fearing failure, you become unstoppable. Let me tell you something powerful. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert you see was once a beginner, fumbling in the dark, making mistakes, messing things up. But they kept going. They kept learning. They used failure as fuel. Now here's a practical shift you can use. Start replacing the word failure with feedback. Instead of saying, I failed at my business, say, I got feedback on what doesn't work yet. Instead of, I failed at that relationship, say, I learned what I need and what I don't want. Instead of, I failed at my goal, say, I discovered where I need to grow next. Because when you see failure as feedback, you stop hiding from it and start growing from it. Here's a powerful quote to remember. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. So next time you stumble, next time something falls apart, don't retreat, don't shut down, don't give up. Pause, breathe, and ask, what did this teach me? That question can change your life. You're not failing, you're growing. And growth is messy, it's uncomfortable, it's full of missteps. But every step is progress, even the ones that hurt. So stand up, wipe the dust off, take the lesson, and keep moving. Because your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Let me ask you something powerful. What if the change you're looking for isn't big? What if it's small and already within reach? We're often told we need to make huge moves to change our lives. Big decisions, massive actions, radical transformation. But that's not how most growth happens. True change often begins with the smallest shift. Let me explain. Imagine a plane taking off from Los Angeles to New York. If the pilot shifts the nose of the plane just 1 degree south, you won't land in New York. You'll end up in Washington, D.C., just 1 degree off. A tiny shift that completely changes the destination. That's how your life works too. One small shift in thinking, one small change in habit, one small decision can change where your life ends up. But we don't see it that way. We think, if I'm not making a big move, it doesn't matter. But that's wrong, because small doesn't mean weak. Small means sustainable. Let me give you some examples. Start with your thoughts. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I'm learning how. That's a tiny change, just a few words. But the impact? Huge. You go from stuck to moving, from hopeless to growing, from defeated to determined. And it didn't take a new job or a new city or a new body. It just took one new thought. Now let's talk about your habits. Everyone says, I'll start waking up at 5 a.m. I'll work out every day. I'll cut out sugar forever. And maybe you do it for a day or two, but then life hits. You miss a day. You feel like a failure. You quit. Why? Because you tried to jump too far, too fast. But what if you just committed to 5 minutes? What if you just walked around the block? What if you just read 1 page? You'd feel successful. You'd keep going, and that momentum would build, because small is powerful when it's consistent. You don't have to climb the whole mountain today. You just have to take the next step. And here's the secret. Small shifts compound. One positive choice today leads to another tomorrow. And before you know it, your path has changed. You're thinking differently, feeling stronger, acting bolder, and the people around you start to notice. They ask, what changed? And you'll say, I started with something small, but I didn't stop. Here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need a new life. You just need a new direction. That direction starts with tiny decisions, like choosing not to scroll for 2 hours, like choosing to speak kindly to yourself, like choosing to try again, even after a hard day. Those choices build a new you. Let me tell you something personal. There are people who look at others and say, they're so lucky. They had the right connections. They had money. They had support. But most of the time, what they really had was this, a small moment, where they didn't give up, that moment when it was easier to quit. But they said, I'll try one more time. That's the shift. It's not always flashy, not always loud, but it's the beginning of everything. So if you're waiting to feel ready, if you're waiting for the perfect plan, stop. Instead, ask yourself, what small thing can I do right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because once you do something small, you prove something big. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are growing. Let this be the shift. Right here, right now. Say something new. Think something better. Do something simple. And do it again tomorrow. Because when you honor the small shifts, you unlock big transformation. And one day, you'll look back and realize everything changed. And it started with something so small, you almost didn't notice it. Let me tell you a powerful truth most people ignore. You don't become successful first. You believe you are before anyone sees it. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter what's in your bank account. It doesn't even matter how broken or confused you feel right now. What matters is what you see in your mind. You have to become that person up here before you ever become them out there. Think about this. Every champion Every leader, every successful person you admire, they were ordinary once. They had doubts. They had fears. They had no proof they would make it. But you know what they did have? A mental picture, a belief, a vision. They saw something inside themselves before the world ever saw it. They walked like it. They talked like it. They thought like it every single day. Even when nothing in their life looked like success, they acted like the person they were becoming. That's the trick. That's the shift. You don't wait for results to believe. You believe, and the results follow. Let me ask you this. If you already were the person you dream of being, how would you act? How would you speak? How would you walk into a room? Would you hide? Would you doubt yourself? Would you hesitate? Or would you hold your head high? Would you speak with clarity? Would you try, even when it's uncomfortable? That's who you need to become in your mind now, even if it feels like pretending, even if it feels awkward, because that mental version of you, that's your future, and you've got to live there mentally before you arrive there physically. Here's the problem most people have. They say, I'll feel confident once I get the job. I'll be happy once I lose the weight. I'll believe in myself once I see results. But life doesn't work that way. The world reflects what you believe, not the other way around. So if you're walking around thinking, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, I don't have what it takes, guess what? You'll keep finding proof of that. But if you shift your belief, if you start seeing yourself differently, the world starts changing with you. People respond to your energy. Opportunities start to appear. Doors you thought were locked start to open. Because confidence is a magnet. Belief is power. And vision is the blueprint. You might be thinking, but I've failed before. I've tried and nothing changed. That's okay. You were learning, you were growing, and you were building the mental strength to try again, with better focus. Let me tell you something you need to hear. You are not your past. You are your possibility. You are not your mistakes. You are your mindset, and that mindset is where everything begins. So today, right now, create the new version of you in your mind. Picture it clearly, feel it emotionally, speak it daily, live it boldly, because once you start showing up like that person, the world will catch up. And when people say, you've changed, you'll smile because you know you didn't just change. You decided. You became who you were always meant to be, and it all started in your mind. So don't wait. Start today. See it. Say it. Step into it, because the person you dream of becoming is already inside you, waiting for you to believe.